Joining me now, Adam Posen, president of the Peterson Institute for International Economics. Adam, thanks so much for joining.
Thanks for having me, Jim.
So I want to talk about the costs and benefits of this, or at least the argued benefits when you speak to Trump or read from Trump administration officials. So first on the costs. Companies to date have been absorbing the costs largely of what many describe as a tax on imports into this country, and they're taking big hits, Caterpillar among them. Is the time now when they're going to begin to pass those costs on more to consumers, in which case then we'll see an increase in prices?
Yes, is the short answer. I mean, the way to think about this is it is a tax. There's no question about it. And it is a loss of real income. And the question is, how much does that loss of real income show up in shareholders and profits in corporate land versus how much of that loss of real income shows up in consumer land? And within consumer land, how much is higher prices versus shortages, delays? So a lot of the stuff we saw during COVID about inflation in the form of not having the variety available, not having lower price options available, long times to wait to get things, whether it's furniture or appliances, shortages, those are going to be part of it too. And it will vary from industry to industry. But now that the tariffs are not going to be wished away, now that we've had a few months to work through accumulated inventories of stuff bought before the tariffs, we will start to see the consumer price impact.
One benefit claimed by the president and his allies is that this is going to reindustrialize the U.S. And I know that that's not going to happen in a day or a week or a month. But are you seeing any evidence of companies, foreign and domestic, moving manufacturing in measurable numbers back to the U.S.? Or are labor costs here, et cetera, just simply too high?
For the most part, labor costs are simply too high in a good sense that our people are capable of being very productive. So reindustrializing the US is ultimately nonsense because the US is quite industrialized. We export a lot of high value added industry. We then pay people to screw together iPhones in other countries, getting the value from their cheaper labor and our intellectual property, our engineering, our brands, our investment. That's the way the world should work, and that's why the world is set up this way. So even if you see things happening and the president or people associated with the president will announce this company or that company is promising to invest here, remember two things. First, they have to get workers from somewhere. And we're nearly at full employment in the US, and there's only so many skilled manufacturing workers. So if you pull them from someplace else, that means you're reducing production in another part of the economy. And second, as we saw during Trump's first term, as we saw during Biden's term, companies make all kinds of claims and promises about what they're going to invest. And usually it's just what they already were planning on doing anyway. You don't get much new investment.
U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer makes the case, as does President Trump, that these tariffs remove unfair barriers to U.S. trade. And they're not wrong. I mean, countries around the world had imposed higher tariffs than the U.S. imposed on them and had various other restrictions to, for instance, protect domestic farmers, et cetera. Do these tariffs at least remove or reduce some of those barriers?
No, they're largely wrong. Ambassador Greer is largely wrong. There are specific things, particularly in agriculture, where the U.S. blocks foreign imports. The other countries, India, Italy, everybody blocks American imports. And yet American agricultural companies were the largest exporters, and again, high value added exports for a long time and remain so. And again, it's productive. It takes very few workers to produce a lot of value in U.S. agriculture. The kinds of barriers they're talking about are not going to go away just because Trump threatens or imposes tariffs on other countries, because these are not things controlled by government action. This is the underlying failure to understand that goes through the entire Trump trade policy, that you can order countries to order their companies, to order their consumers to behave a certain way. That wouldn't work in the US, and it's not going to work in Japan or Germany or Mexico or Canada. So it's false. I mean, unfortunately, it would be a better world if the president and his advisors spoke things that were true, but they're right now speaking things that are false.
Yeah, the example you hear, for instance, from Japanese companies is right. Japan's not going to buy many more American cars because the cars that America sells aren't ones that Japanese consumers want, right? I mean, you have an example like that. Adam Posen, Peterson Institute, thanks so much for joining.
Thanks for having me.